I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone.
When the FBI turned its attention to the legendary Charlie Chaplin, they uncovered something truly astonishing inside his Swiss mansion. Hidden archives, mysterious gatherings with world-famous intellectuals, and whispers of politically charged secrets. This serene estate became a vault of intrigue. What was buried in the depths of his home that made the authorities so suspicious? From Hollywood glamour to exile, Chaplin's life held secrets that even his biggest fans couldn't imagine. Brace yourself. This discovery will leave you speechless. Chaplin's U.S. exile and secret archives. Charlie Chaplin's life changed forever in 1952 when the United States withdrew his re-entry visa while he was on a trip to England. This led Chaplin to find a new home in Switzerland, away from the country he had once called his own. For over 2 decades, he could not return to the U.S., so he found peace at the Manoir de Ban. This elegant mansion became both his safe haven and a silent witness to his hidden worries and creative process. Overlooking the Swiss Alps and Lake Geneva, the estate was a world away from the tense climate and rumors that followed him in America. In the basement of this manor, Chaplin quietly built a private archive to protect his personal documents, film reels, and secrets. Originally designed for wine production, this space soon held scripts, letters, and unfinished ideas from a career that had reshaped silent film and comedy. Chaplin's exile led him to guard these items, fearful of how the outside world might twist them. The FBI had been watching him for years, so he took extra steps to keep his records safe. Within those walls, Chaplin preserved not just bits of Hollywood history, but also a window into his own struggles with fame, politics, and public opinion. Many believe the manuscripts from his later years show hidden frustrations and dreams he held close while away from Hollywood. Visitors to today's Chaplin's World Museum can only imagine the hushed footsteps and whispered plans once shared in those underground corridors. Though Chaplin chose a life far from the spotlight of the United States, his secret archives remain a powerful reminder of the price he paid to maintain control over his own story forever. High-profile guests and confidential gatherings. High-profile guests brought a touch of glamour and intrigue to Charlie Chaplin's Swiss estate, the Manoir de Ban. After leaving Hollywood behind, Chaplin still enjoyed the company of famous friends who came to his home to share meals, stories, and laughter. Visitors of note included big names like Marlon Brando and Truman Capote, each adding their own charm to the gatherings. These events were not just casual get-togethers, but rather private affairs where guests felt free to speak their minds, away from prying eyes or camera flashes. The mansion's dining room became the heart of these memorable celebrations. Staff members worked tirelessly to prepare mouth-watering meals with fresh produce from the orchard and local suppliers. Sometimes Chaplin and his guests took their conversations outside, strolling through the scenic grounds or relaxing by the tennis court. Even though the manor stood in a quiet corner of Switzerland, the animated conversations inside echoed with global ideas. Some gatherings were far from ordinary parties. They turned into deep talks about art, politics, and Chaplin's life experience. Guests often stayed longer than planned, drawn to the estate's peaceful vibe and Chaplin's warm hospitality. Personal friendships blossomed, and important connections formed without interruption from the political climate Chaplin had left behind in the United States. As stories spread about these grand meetings, many wondered what secrets were shared in those elegant halls. Though the gatherings were private, they gave rise to questions about what kind of influence such talks might have had on cinema, literature, and beyond. Today, visitors to the Manoir de Ban can still imagine the lively conversations that once filled those rooms, reminding us that even in exile, Chaplin's star power and high-profile connections never faded away. Political sensitivities, preserved in newsreels. Political tensions followed Charlie Chaplin throughout his career, especially when he faced suspicions about his political beliefs in the United States. Newsreels from that era showed crowds praising his films, yet they also hinted at the growing fear surrounding alleged communist influences. By including clips of Chaplin's speeches and interviews, these reels captured the anxious mood of a country on edge. Even years later, they remain a key source of information about the concerns that forced Chaplin into exile, helping to illustrate the gravity of his situation. In Switzerland, Chaplin's new home at the Manoir de Ban became a haven where he stored these important reels, along with other personal recordings. The basement archives were carefully organized, preserving his side of the story and ensuring that changing world politics would not erase his truth. These old film segments highlight Chaplin's struggle against widely held suspicions. They also remind visitors that his ideas, while often critical of social injustice, were misunderstood by officials who linked his humanitarian themes to subversive activity. Today, Chaplin's World Museum allows guests to see samples of those historic reels, complete with news headlines and editorial commentary from the 1950s and beyond. While some articles portrayed him as a beloved comedic star, others labeled him a dangerous radical. Through these moving images, visitors witness not just the man behind the little tramp, but the shifting tide of public opinion that shaped his life. In reflecting on his exile and the skepticism he faced, these reels stand as powerful evidence of how politics and public perception can forever alter a star's legacy. By preserving them, Chaplin guarded his crucial narrative and left a valuable record that still sparks global conversation and debate, showing that even comedic legends can face the harsh weight of political suspicion. Unusual artifacts and memorabilia. Charlie Chaplin's Swiss home, the Manoir de Ban, wasn't just a peaceful retreat. It was also full of unusual artifacts and fascinating memorabilia from his extraordinary life. From quirky items to priceless keepsakes, the estate was a treasure trove of memories that reflected both his creative genius and unique personality. Every corner of the mansion seemed to hold a story, making it a truly special place. One of the most talked about items at the estate is the quirky Art Deco bathroom, which humorously pays tribute to Chaplin's friendship with Albert Einstein. This playful touch shows Chaplin's sense of humor and his appreciation for the intellectual friendships he cultivated over the years. Another striking feature is the family dining room, where Chaplin and his wife Una often hosted lavish dinners with famous guests like Marlon Brando and Truman Capote. These gatherings weren't just about food. They became cultural events where great minds shared ideas and laughter. Chaplin's archives were another fascinating part of the estate. Stored in the basement, they included handwritten scripts, personal letters, and rare film reels, offering a glimpse into his creative process and private life. Some of the documents even hinted at his struggles with fame, politics, and exile, making them historically significant. The estate also featured personal touches that highlighted his family life, like home movies of Chaplin and his children enjoying time together on the veranda. His love for gardening was evident, with a lush orchard and greenhouse on the property. These artifacts and spaces captured the full picture of Chaplin, not just as a film legend, but as a loving husband, father, and friend. Today, these unusual items remain on display, enchanting visitors at Chaplin's World Museum. Mysterious death in the mansion. Charlie Chaplin spent the final years of his life in the serene beauty of the Manoir de Ban, surrounded by his family and the peaceful Swiss countryside. But his death in 1977, within the walls of his beloved mansion, has sparked curiosity and even mystery over the years. Passing away in his sleep on Christmas Day at the age of 88, Chaplin left behind a legacy as a global icon. Yet the circumstances surrounding his death and the events that followed only added intrigue to his story. Chaplin's bedroom, where he took his last breath, remains a focal point of his Swiss home, now known as Chaplin's World Museum. Visitors often pause to reflect in the room where the legend passed away, imagining his final hours in a place that had given him so much peace after decades of public turmoil. For many, it's a reminder of the stark contrast between the chaos of his earlier life in Hollywood and the tranquility he found in Switzerland. What adds to the mystery is what happened after his death. Just months later, in early 1978, his body was stolen from its resting place in Coursier-sur-Vevey by grave robbers demanding a ransom. The bizarre crime shocked the world and led to a police investigation that eventually recovered Chaplin's remains. These events, paired with the quiet yet significant legacy of his death in the mansion, have cemented his Swiss home as a place of fascination. Chaplin's death wasn't just the end of a life. It was the closing chapter of a story filled with creativity, resilience, and an enduring fight for peace. His mansion remains a symbol of that journey, holding within its walls the echoes of a life well lived.